Hello, seventh graders. Well, this is new. I get to homeschool you guys in your own homes while we're all kind of in quarantine. So this will take some getting used to, and hopefully I'll get better at this. But bear with me. So if I'm going too fast for you, the great thing about videoing is that you can pause it and finish taking your notes and then continue playing. So you should have your pen ready. You should have some notebook paper ready and start taking some notes because this will be one of your PFLs. Alrighty, so where we left off in the reading is, so Texas is a republic now. They got their independence from Mexico, and they're now a republic. They have elected Sam Houston as their president. So Sam Houston is the president of this new republic. Can y'all see that? Sort of. And he appointed the following members of his cabinet. Now, a cabinet, that's one of the words that you guys had to define, I think, at the section assessment at the end. So his cabinet, these are the people that he surrounded himself with, people that would be advising him in his new role. So the vice president, the secretary of state, the secretary of war, the secretary of the treasury. So as our VP, we have Mirabeau Lamar. And then as our secretary of state, a familiar name, we have Stephen F. Austin. And then for our Secretary of Treasury, we have Henry Smith. Remember, he was the governor of Texas at the time during the Revolution. He is now the Secretary of Treasury. And our Secretary of War is Thomas Rusk. Bring that up a little bit closer. All right. So Sam Houston is the president of the new republic. Mirabeau Lamar is his vice president. Stephen F. Austin is the Secretary of State. Henry Smith is the Secretary of Treasury, and Thomas Rusk is the Secretary of War. All right, now I'm going to erase this. Remember, you can pause it if you think I'm going too fast. All right, see what you guys remember. Now, this new republic, so now they're independent, they don't have Santa Anna over them anymore, so they got rid of all of those problems, but now they have other problems that they're dealing with. So, what were some of those problems? I wish you were in front of me so that I could call on you. But one of those problems was the Mexican government. Now, the Mexican government, even though Santa Anna had signed the treaties of Velasco, the Mexican government did not acknowledge it. They did not acknowledge Texas's independence, and so there were still increasing tensions between Mexico and Texas. Also, other countries did not necessarily recognize that Texas was independent now. And so that was a problem. And then we have financial problems, money problems. Texas, so we'll put a big dollar sign there. Texas had accrued a lot of debt during the Revolution, and they didn't have any money to pay it off. And so that was a huge problem. And then native Texans. More and more Anglo settlers were coming into Texas, and the natives didn't like that. And the Anglo settlers didn't want many of them did not want the native Texans on the land either. And so there were definitely tensions between the native Texans and the Texas settlers. All right, so the Mexican government and other countries did not recognize Texas's independence. They refused to accept the treaties of Velasco. So lots of tension there. Now, one of the things that Sam Houston tried to do to get rid of the financial problems was to borrow money. And so they had these promissory notes, kind of like an IOU. However, and he tried to increase customs duties, those taxes that were not very popular before, and raise taxes, and he tried to keep the government revenue, which is the money coming into the government. He tried to keep those costs down, but the debt still continued to rise, and so it was not going very well. And then the native Texans, Sam Houston, as some of you might remember, Sam Houston was actually very friendly towards the native Texans, and he tried to he negotiated a treaty with the Cherokees, saying that if they promised not to cause any conflict or do any raids during the Texas Revolution, if they maintained peace, then they could keep their land in East Texas. Well, he promised them that, so they did maintain the peace. However, the new Texas Congress did not agree to that. They did not want the Cherokees to stay in East Texas. And the reason why the Congress didn't want to, and many of the Anglo settlers didn't want them to stay, is because they wanted all of that rich, fertile land in East Texas, and they didn't want to share the new republic with the native Texans. So they employed the Texas Rangers to stop the raids from the native Texans. Now, okay, I'm going to erase this. So Sam Houston and many of the Texans pushed for annexation. Now, I remember some of you asking me if that word meant break away or if it meant connect. And so to annex something means to add on to. And so Sam Houston and many of the Texans at the time were really pushing for annexation, meaning they wanted Texas to become part of the U.S. So Texas to be joined to the U.S. And the reason why, I mean, most of the settlers came from the United States. And so they naturally wanted to be part of the more established government there that had more money, it could help them with all the financial problems, and all of those things. And so they were kind of hoping that the United States would also want that because, that would help with the United States, their westward expansion and increasing their land and all that. However, the United States did not bring Texas into the Union for another 10 years. Does anybody remember why? I'm sure some of you are saying. Now, John Quincy Adams, who used to be the president of the United States, he's now a congressman in the U.S. at this time. He actually blocked Texas from becoming one of the states of the United States at that time because Texas was still a slave state. And John Quincy Adams opposed slavery. Many people in the United States opposed slavery at the time. And so they did not want to add another slave state to the United States. So Texas remained independent at the time. So that was that. So this is all during Sam Houston's presidency. And he had a very short presidency. Our presidents have 4-year terms. And they're allowed to serve 2 consecutive terms. That means 2 back-to-back terms. But the Texas Constitution initially allowed the president to serve a 2-year term. And they did not allow them to serve 2 consecutive terms. So once Sam Houston finished his 2-year term, he was done. And so then after he stepped down from being president, Mirabeau Lamar became the second president of the Republic. So you remember Mirabeau Lamar was the vice president. So now he's going to be the president. So what I'm going to have you guys do as your next assignment is to, read and thoroughly annotate Section 2. Now, while you're reading and annotating Section 2, I want you to notice the differences between Sam Houston's presidency and Mirabeau Lamar's presidency. They both governed in very different ways. So I want you to take note of that while you're reading and annotating. So have fun with that. I miss you all. I hope you all are healthy and you're washing your hands and all of that good stuff. Bye.